Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 6th day of November, 2019, at the hour of 5:30 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the District on October 31st, 2019, at 3 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041-551-050, not less than 72 hours prior to the time of the said meeting. We do have the presence of a quorum. We have all members of the board present. This meeting has been duly posted as required by the law. Item 2, if we may please have everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carlos?
Yes. Heavenly Father, again, we thank you for another opportunity, Lord, to come together and meet and do district business here. Lord, that you give us wisdom, knowledge, Lord, and understanding of all our agenda items, and that we continue to make the best decisions for everyone in the district. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Thank you. Yes. Item 3, invitation to the audience for public comments.
I have one.
Yes?
We have, I didn't have time to put it in the agenda because it just came out this, I think it was Monday or Tuesday that we met with AP. They're going to be installing some new electrical poles from Laguna Vista all the way to South Padre Island. And the way they're going to be installing it is it's a technique that we've never experienced before, and we're kind of concerned about it. And as we talked to them about the installation yesterday, we met with them, and they mentioned that it's like a vibration type of installation, where they put the existing poles. What they're going to be doing is cutting them and installing another like a metal steel piping over the existing one after they cut it. So I guess 3 feet above the ground. They're going to be installing that casing in there with the vibration. Our pipelines are about 10 to 15 feet away from the installations. So that vibration is the concern that we have. I wanted to bring it up to the board. If anything that happens that we may have to break, we'll probably have to stop their work and tell them to just find another way of installing the poles, because, and we've already talked to them about it, but
Who are they talking to? Because even like and excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, but even I noticed in old Townside Port Isabel, I saw some new lines going north and south.
yes.
And who are they working with us and making sure where and what? And I mean,
Joel and the crews, these crews are in contact with them, making daily, because they've been installing the poles here, and I think it broke.
Well, there's multiple contracts, like the distribution or the chain link.
Right.
Like we're getting prepped for the transmission main install, because that's the major one,
Right.
with these bigger poles and closer proximity to lines, bigger
Right.
cranes.
But we gave out our cards, and Joel is going to be the main contact on it, and we're going to have somebody there available to keep an eye, and if anything happens, we'll get notified pretty quick. But we wanted to bring it up. We had our media affairs present yesterday. And we made contact just to be prepared to send out notices, so you all will be receiving a quick notice that the water's going to be off for a few hours until we prepare whatever it is, if it does happen.
and we we do need to get that out there, that it is not, if something happens, it's not our fault and our utilities. It's another entity, causing by accident, mistake, because everyone runs to blame us.
Right,
and
it's happened before.
our effectiveness. And we haven't really discussed this as a board or as a staff, but as even I saw the project as much more intense than I thought it was going to be.
So I just wanted to bring it up to the board to be aware that that's going to happen, and hopefully that nothing will happen to our pipelines with that vibration type of installation. But like I said, we're prepared to send out notices pretty quick and try to get the repairs quick, because we have parts available already. But again, if I see something that I need to stop the project, I'll let them know right off. Stop, find another installation method to do that, because if it's gonna affect our pipelines, we're not gonna let them. So that's all I can tell you for today. I think they start sometime in the couple of weeks.
14.
14, yeah, so a couple of weeks. One more week.
A week from tomorrow.
Yeah, a week from tomorrow. So anyhow, that's what I wanted to bring. I didn't have time to put it in there. So it's on that agenda item.
Just want to make sure that we don't get the blame for our utilities, for their problems.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
That's all. Okay, comments? Anyone else? Anything else want to
Are
share?
they sharing their scope of work and the schedule of when they are going to do what and at what location so that we can have a presence
Yes,
or an
they're
observation?
gonna provide everything for us, and
Great.
they will be starting in Laguna Vista at this time. Laguna Vista by the electrical substation that's out there, right across the street, the highway. They're starting there this way. What they'll be doing is treading all the trees and bushes that are right along the easement where the poles are at, and taking the fences off. And then they'll be doing the installations after that. But Joel has all the information available for being prepared for that.
And I know we just started these discussions this week, and work sounds like the scope's going to start in 2 weeks, but have we determined or predetermined where the closest points of concern are as we look at their entire scope of work? Like, what poles are closest to our pipe, and when are they going to be there, and are we,
Yes, sir. We've advised them where our water line is hugging the pole by within 2 feet. But we can't mark the line until they request it. So I've been talking to them for the past day, calling that location so we can get on it. We ordered some wooden stake ribbon so we can mark it properly. We're gonna probe it. And if we had the hydro excavator, we'd be able to vacuum it and put it right on the back of the pipe. So, but for now, we're gonna do a different method of locating the line. They have been advised that the 24-inch line is about 10, 15 feet from where they're at. There's an 8-inch line that's about 1.5 now from the scope of work.
Yeah.
And then as you go towards it from the high school coming this way, it gets even a little bit closer to the main line. So
I mean, we know they're going to hit a line.
they call it in, we'll be able to mark it, and they will hydro excavate before they do anything to make sure where the lines are at.
okay. Thank you.
And the most concern is 24-inch water line. That's my concern. The others are smaller, so.
Also,
And,
we got water plant, one on standby, just in case something goes really, really bad with spray and all that it does. No, we already had that going. In the case
It's 1.5 million gallons of storage water in there, just to pump out. So,
Great. Great work from everybody. Thank you.
This project is expected to take about 1.5 years to 2 years.
I mean, because you know they're going to hit some lines. I mean, you know that. That's already been. I believe me, I don't want them to. But I mean, it's we just have to be prepared.
Hopefully not.
I think it's more likely to have a problem at the joints, because basically all they're gonna do is put a casing over what's left of the existing pole. So, when you build high rises on the island, they'll put these big casings in, they vibrate them in, and you can feel it, across the street even. So you're not gonna, the pipe itself, I don't think you'll have a problem with. The problem, I think, will be in the joints.
yes. And then we understand that part, that the joints are the ones that are going to get loose and then leak out of it. We're hoping the guy said that the vibration is a steady vibration. It's not like a hammering type of vibration. It's steady. So we'll see. We'll see.
Anything else? Okay, let's move along to item 4. Consider and discuss for possible approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on October 23rd, 2019. Any comments, discussions, questions?
So moved.
Motion for approval made by Mr. Houston. Second. Seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those in favor? They are. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to item 5, General Manager's Report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I wanted to bring the Falcon and Amistad combined lake levels, and they're at 54.54%, right above the 50% mark. When it gets down below 50%, we have to advertise for conservation measures, and hoping that we get some rain between now and December to get those reservoirs back to a higher level than what it is. So 54.54, and I know that they've been having a lot of news on the farmers that are saying that they are already in a drought where they haven't had a lot of rain. So what they do is normally use that the raw water to irrigate. So hoping that we're just hoping that it rains because we need it. So hopefully we can keep going for another month or two before anything happens on conservation measures. And then the next one that I have here, the employee banquet. It's an awards banquet that we have annually in December. I think you all received an invitation for that. So I'm hoping to see the board members there for the luncheon, the dinner, and it'll be a nice one. We're not going to have the music that we had last year because I don't think we need it this year. But we just have Christmas carols and a little, what do you call that one, Daisy? It's a Pandora, where you put the Christmas music and then
Karaoke?
Well, similar. Yeah, if anybody wants to sing, I think she bought a speaker for that. But we need the speakers for the announcements and all that when we give out the awards. But yeah, we're gonna have a good dinner. So
Show us your best
you got your
karaoke.
invitation, be there. I say be there or be square. Okay, going on the audio video presentation. I know Mr. Houston had met with us a couple of weeks ago, and they are working on the corrections. They came by today and videotaped the corrections that needed to be made. So they'll be finished by next week. The other one that I had was I had a CD type of video where I gave one last night to Alex Avalos, and I missed you on Monday night. And I missed you because you left pretty quick from the bond committee meeting. So I didn't give you one. So according to Mr. Avalos is that, yeah, I got it back, and the IT guys at Orlando took them with him. He's gonna review them and probably edit or redo them again.
Okay.
Because I think there was something that you mentioned that was
It was a little shaky.
shaky. Or
Yeah, it was not, it
Clear?
just kept clicking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's gonna work on it.
Yeah.
And if we do, he said he'd get the scan disc, the flash drive, and redo them tomorrow, and then we'll send them to you guys tomorrow. So you can see the video number 3. That's water and wastewater, a short video. I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes. But that's a video that I wanted to show you guys before. And then the video number 4, or the editing that we're gonna get back from the first 2 videos, they'll be done next week. So next week when we get them, I guess we can call Herb wants to be there to see it before I issue them back to you guys. I want to see it first, make sure everything's correct in there. And I don't know if Mr. Aulos want to see that video. I guess 2 board members can attend that video,
Okay.
but it'll be next week. And that's all I have on the videos. So they're coming out.
Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate it. Moving on to item 6, District Engineers Report, Carlos.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I guess the first item we have is the shrimp cook-off update. We did have that shrimp cook-off this past Saturday, about 10 to 4. We had a really good attendance. I mean, there was a lot of traffic at our booth. Freese Nichols did a pretty good setup. We went ahead and just had some information on seawater desalination and direct potable reuse, just to at least get the idea out there. Had some samples between our river water and our sewer plant, just to explain, what's coming off the river and what's going back out into the bay. so they can kind of see for themselves what it looks like in a jar, and then, just various people asking questions. We had Minnie and Emma, Mary helping out. We got about 20 signatures to get notifications, explain the WaterSmart app out to everybody. I just think it was a pretty successful event. I don't know if you want to add anything to it.
No, I think it was, I was just sharing with Scott earlier that it was, our booth was very well attended throughout the whole event. It really was. We had a good group of people. Our staff many did a great job of trying to get people to just come and participate. How many people did you sign up for the?
We had about maybe 20.
20? That's pretty good.
From out of town, from up the valley.
But that's 20 more we gained.
Yeah.
Nearby.
And I wanna mention that we did give you a sample of everything that we gave out. These are the bags. They're right next to you somewhere. So y'all can have it. It's just things that we give out at all the trainings or giveaways.
Yeah, like shower heads, little fidget
Yeah, it was
spinners.
it was kind of funny because some kid won some toy or something, and he said he'd rather have the shower head.
Yeah, he wanted a shower head. He kept it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, they were really, people that were stopping by, they were really enjoying it. Their Freezing Nickels are really doing a good job of educating our customers, and I mean, it was, I think overall, it was, staff did a good job. Having Freezing Nickels there, I think, gave us a little bit of an edge to a little bit more different level of professionalism, that they were able to answer questions in a professional manner. So no, I think it was a great exposure for our district, and probably a lot better than last year. And last year was good too.
Yeah.
But
We're also having grant access as well, and they were kind of giving some cues to the musician to kind of bring up the water district
Yeah.
and attract people to the booth.
yeah, they did a little plug for us on Facebook, which gave us even more exposure. So that was really a plus.
Yeah, and then we had samples of that beer and wine from the Big Spring and Wichita Falls facilities that are already in place.
Yeah.
That would be part of what we got done through a feasibility study.
Yeah, their intention was to actually give away, because Jose, is that, I'm sorry.
Ray Longoria?
Ray
Yeah.
Longoria actually told me that he wanted to bring some samples and give away samples of beer of reused water from a different location, of course, but he was told he couldn't do that. So, but no, it was a good display, and people love that little spin the wheel thing. They love that. So that was
there'd be a line.
HEB always has people standing in line for that. I do it every year. I get a cake or two. Or,
Yeah, it's got chocolate cake,
it's a
unfortunately.
And one more thing, since it was a shrimp fest or shrimp cook-off,
Shrimp cook-off.
we gave 10 pounds, 5
Yeah,
pound
somebody wants
boxes
some
of
shrimp,
shrimp
yeah.
with tickets. Whoever won them, they got them. So
Yeah.
it was good.
That was very, very good event. Yeah, I'm glad we were there again.
Excellent.
So the next item is the bond project update, and I went ahead and passed out a PowerPoint presentation, just kind of the key slides of what we presented to our committee. I mean, it was, between what got put in the board packet and prioritization, it sort of changed, into, we had our financial advisor come in on Friday afternoon and kind of give us the idea of basically sticking to growth projects or projects based on the future connections for bond, and any kind of rehab or health and safety, just kind of putting that in revenue. So by default, that kind of breaks out the water projects being, bond funded, or at least of that proposed, and then the wastewater projects being committed through revenue notes. So, I mean, this is just kind of, the first slide, breaking the three projects out. We've kind of updated our whiteboard accordingly, just to kind of be putting the wastewater out on the table as revenue notes. And then I guess we did look at the distribution needs on South Point Dry Island. And really the driver for any major water upgrades is tank operations at Andy Buoy, because with our current water mains, between now and 2040, we're going to have a hard time keeping that Andy Buoy tank full during the summer. And really the avenue to upgrade that is that entire 12-inch on the base side, getting that up to a 16-inch. And so, that's a major task that we need to just implement in phases over a 10-15 year period. And so we do have some of those project elements identified in Project 3, which is essentially the bypass line at the causeway that we've been talking about, going from the ADP substation to the causeway, and then getting a loop, an 8-inch main going from Gardenia up to Capricorn to at least take care of that section.
Do we know for sure that that's the way we're gonna approach that project at this point?
As far as the 16-inch line?
As far as that one on the west side of Padre?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty good assessment, because, I mean, the 12-inch main, I mean, does, you have the 2-inch running parallel to the 12-inch, you know, aside from maybe a section on Corral, and then that section north of Gardenia is really where we want to be doing
The
some
reason I
upgrades.
bring it up is because our intention, of course, is to do our repairs on Laguna, which is only a small part of the project at this
Right.
point, to do them in conjunction with their repair
Right.
of that street. So I just want to make sure that Alex over there, the director, is getting the information and taking into consideration that, you know, we're paying attention to their timeline as well.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, because, yeah, we definitely need to be thinking about that on the same page. And so I guess, you know, without skipping around, I guess the second slide is just showing a raw water transfer pump station being at Water Plant 2. And in terms of cost, we just included that as a single project with Water Plant 1, because getting the raw water to Port Isabel is part of that improvement. So that's all been combined into one project line item. And then flip it to the next page, it's the water plant itself, where we're looking at, you know, acquiring that lot to the north through that land swap with Port Isabel, building a microfiltration building, and our 1.5 million gallon ground storage tank, just doing a replacement to get those components more than 500 feet away from our sewer plant to prevent any risk of airborne, you know, pollution, or it's meeting a TCQ requirement there. And then basically next page is the alternatives that we looked at for the elevated storage tanks. We definitely, you know, option one's to rehab Port Isabel and Laguna Vista storage. Knowing by 2040 we need to have, you know, another 200,000 gallons at some point. And then with our Port Isabel tank is just offline because in such the condition it's at. And so looking at options 2 or 3, really to get to that 2040 planning horizon, we need a 600,000 gallon tank. If it's going to replace both Port Isabel and Laguna Vista. And whether we site that at Port Isabel or Laguna Vista, hydraulically, it kind of doesn't really have a benefit one way or the other. So it just comes down to land availability and constructability. And with that PI industrial park, that's where we got some land to be able to put that new tank. So we're going ahead and recommend there in Port Isabel to build that new 600,000 gallon tank and decommission both tanks, you know, as we coordinate, maintain communications for the cell towers, that sort of thing. And then I guess the next slide is just the limits of what we're talking about in the cost estimate for the 16-inch upgrade or the 2-inch upgrades. And then basically that item to the left. The section in blue is really ultimately what needs to eventually become a 16-inch over time in the Dunner phases. And then the area circled in red is what's included in the cost estimate for the bond replacement. So there's still quite a bit more ahead of the road to get that whole line upgraded to 16-inch, but you know that's probably the amount we want to try to be taking on at this stage. And then the next slide is the summary of cost. That would be part of the tax bond, go through the election request. Water plant 1 being $22,390,000, the elevated storage tank being $3.5 million, the Laguna Boulevard water upgrades being $1.3 million. So we're looking at that $27,243,000 for the, you know, it's what we're looking at for bond election. I don't know if there's any questions or keep zooming on through here.
Charles, let me ask you a couple questions.
All right.
On the Laguna Boulevard, 2-inch improvement, if all that were improved 2 inches, what's the capacity increase that you're looking at? And my point I'm getting is 2 inches enough? If you're looking for something 20 or 30 years down the road, maybe we might be looking.
Well, essentially,
Well, it's not gonna be-
it's like what we're looking at is an 8-inch line to reduce how much 2-inch is you know on a you know coming off the main. So that section north of Gardenia is probably where we could you know help out with a loop to reduce the number of connections coming off the main. That's going to still be on a 2-inch at the end of the day. But when in big picture, it's the tank operations that are going to maintain pressure, and not necessarily the 2-inch versus a 6-inch line. I mean,
But we are not going to install the 2-inch water line. It's gonna be an 8-inch, right?
correct.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
Increase.
Okay. And the next question I ask in Freese's Nichols' presentation in the book here, he has the raw water pump station improvements, but it's not on this.
It's a sub, it became a line item within Water Plant One process improvements. So it's that cost estimate of the 22 million includes that raw water pump station now. So that's just, we just made it as a component of the water plant improvement as a whole. Yeah, I don't have the full slides of the presentation given at the meeting, but that was, from kind of the way these versions have changed up. Our last revision was just putting the raw water pump station as part of the water plant project.
Then my only comment would be, you got one report that shows 7 items, this shows 6. Maybe you need to put it together better where you can follow it.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, where did we start with? Oh, is it still at 7 on?
Yes, 7 in the.
Oh, yes, 7, that's an older version. The in the board packet was the version that got released, and then in meetings and after the board packet went out the door, the Roger River 7 became part of the water plant. That's why, that's where the change came
The
from.
packet is the old version.
Yes, correct.
Nice to know that we get those.
Yeah, that's how quick this thing's been evolving. I mean, it was, between the last week, basically.
Within a week,
Yeah.
it's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're still, if I remember correctly, they're still gonna determine the best possible location for that elevated storage tank. So that we're not pushing from too far away, that we're not pushing water from too far away? Is
Well,
that
yeah, that
what I
model was
understood?
already done, and so, the 2 areas they looked at was right there on 510 and Holly Beach, and the other section was, the PI Industrial Park. And as far as, any kind of hydraulic benefits of one versus the other, I mean, there wasn't anything significantly different.
Oh,
having it
okay,
at one
I
spot
understood they
versus
were
the
still
other.
gonna look at.
No, that study was already been done.
Okay. Because originally we were talking about here, at this location.
Yeah,
With
well,
the new tank here.
well, the concern was having it too close to the water plant, but at the end of the day, I mean, we're gonna be pushing out of both Laguna Vista and Water Plant One, and so.
The installation here
Right.
is more closer to the pipeline, so we spend less funds installing that pipeline, like real short distance. And if we go to 510 and 100, it'll be like half a mile maybe of installation, pipe installation, so
Yeah, I
it'll
mean,
be
it-
more costly than here.
Yeah, the
So
tank
that's the only
would
difference.
cycle better, but it's
So
such a
we decided to
minor
go
difference.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so, yeah, I guess just kind of continuing on the next page is the schedule. Or I guess how between, we're gonna do a full presentation with Reese Nichols at the November 20th meeting. This is just kind of a precursor. And so I suppose the next stage between now and February is, getting public opinion and getting the language for, what we're gonna wanna be doing for the
Are
next
you
one.
gonna put that on as a workshop for November 20th?
I suppose, I mean.
What is that?
Should we do a
Are you
separate
gonna do it
workshop
as a
on November 20th?
separate workshop? Are you gonna do it as a workshop before the meeting? Or how do you wanna present that? I don't know, I mean, just a
Well, I
comment,
mean, is it for the revenue funding?
Well, we'll probably stick to.
Well, 'cause this is for.
just for Freesa Nicholas's report.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're bringing an update, next meeting.
Oh,
So-
yes, yes.
And the
Do we
question
want-
is, do you want to have a workshop before
Yes,
that meeting?
Yes, we
with-
can, yes, a workshop for
Okay.
that, so y'all can be involved with it.
Yeah, it's not that far away,
When
so
is it again?
it's
Oh,
2
the
weeks.
next meeting, yeah.
Next week, 2 weeks?
So we can do it, at 4:30? You think an hour would be enough? Or do we want to stick to 5:30 or 5 o'clock workshop?
I-
We're gonna do a workshop, invite the bond people also to the workshop.
Yeah.
Yes.
However you wanna do it, I was just trying to, get it organized.
I think it would require more than an hour,
Okay.
in my personal feeling. 'Cause, I mean, they got it down and they're just making minor adjustments at this point, but,
So you're gonna do
if
the
we're gonna
workshop
have
at
the committee.
5:30, because you have a lot of people that will, they come, get off work and have things, so workshop at 5:30 and then the meeting following that on the 20th? I don't know.
Unless we just limit the 20 to a workshop and have a December meeting. I mean, however you want to do it.
Be a long meeting that day.
Just
Yeah.
have everything at 5:30, the workshop,
Okay.
the first thing on the agenda.
We'll just roll
The
from
regular
there.
meeting is that.
Okay.
Thereafter.
Okay.
We'll do our best to cut it short. I don't think there's gonna be much agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, we just have we had the bid opening for
short
turbine. I
agenda
don't
now,
have
but
any.
We'll see. Yeah, okay, 5:30 now.
All right, and then the last slide that's on here is the projects that we're recommending to move to revenue. And on these revenue notes, of course, they don't require a public vote for the approval. So in any kind of engineer's report, I mean, none of this would be even presented for when we look at the engineer's report from the bond election. I mean, this is just more of a final report since we were talking about these projects. And that's just going to stay basically what's already been built in our rate structure from the 2018 study.
Can you explain why? Why move them from bond to revenue?
Oh, just to minimize the impact on the property tax. Because I mean, basically putting these into we'd be looking at maybe a tax rate going up to 12 cents. Like right now we're at 3.8 versus if we split it up like this, we're looking at maybe only a 5-cent increase. Versus, yeah, so it's just a way to.
But
balance
your
that.
rates will go up if
No.
Well,
with the
Well,
revenue,
but
your
We kind of
water
balanced
rates.
it off because the revenues are already in existence with the increase. The next 2 years, I think we have an increase. So
Yes.
we're figuring out like, well, we could do some of those projects with the revenue.
Yeah,
So
Yes.
it's already in existence.
That's,
The increases are coming in, but minor increases, but that'll help
Yeah,
take
'cause-
care of those
'cause
projects.
like these lift stations, for example, that was a capital plan, that was already in part of when we determined our rate study. And so these projects as a whole is pretty consistent with the capital plan we gave to Dan Jackson that was used to estimate our required increases.
You have to really explain this.
One more thing,
It's tricky for a lot of people to understand the revenue. and
one more thing,
the
another
obligation.
reason for the revenue bond, it became necessary because the lift stations have a short life. So you want to avoid
Short-term
paying
financing.
when you're already having to do repairs or replacing them.
Right.
So those would have to be pulled out and paid on a shorter term, which these revenue notes, the way that we're proposing them, would be a 15-year note, which is more or less the expected life of those lift stations.
No, I'm just trying to
Yeah, no,
explain
no,
how
we need to
this
bring
financing
information.
is, because this is can be very complicated if people don't understand the difference between the rates and
Yeah,
property taxes.
A revenue and a
and-
tax commitment are two different
Two
ways.
separate.
And then, of course, doing tax requires a
Yes,
vote by the voters.
election.
And I'll be passing out
So basically you did it because you thought it would be more palatable to voters.
Well, and also the basically the growth that's based on new connections just happens to be the water projects. And so taking an approach of growth being a tax bond, that's what's going to maintain value, allow you to resell your property. So that's really the logic for selecting the growth projects on the tax bond side.
Furthermore, these are long-term fixes, whereas lift stations are going to need rehab quickly, and that's a short-term
Yeah.
investment, so you don't want to get upside down on the car, so to speak.
Right.
you know?
That's right.
Yeah, and I personally, I would like to see maybe 10 years or less on those notes, because even 15 years, I think, is pushing it.
yes.
So
I agree with that.
I think 10 years, if we can do it in 10 years, I think it'd be better. The whole objective is to get out of this debt on the revenue side as quickly as possible. So if we have revenue coming in to take care of that, why don't we do that? Let's take advantage of that. And yes, these projects, we are going to be putting money into them, at a certain point, and I don't want to be making payments at the same time. Yeah.
Paying for something that's no longer with us.
Right.
Yeah, I think all that, if communicated appropriately, it should be well received.
Yes, that was my whole comment.
Yeah, I
do have,
agree. I agree.
information.
It's
Right, I did
it's a
a
topic
little
that.
table on the revenue increases that we have on the rate increases, and it's like $3 today that it went up. Then like next year it'll be like 175, I think. Then the last year it'll be like $1.50, 53 cents. They're minor increases, but that'll provide a lot of revenue for those projects. But you'll as we go along, you'll see more of that information coming out, so y'all can understand it better. And we're trying to balance the tax bond. So.
From what I'm seeing and hearing, I think you're doing an excellent job of doing that balancing act. Because, you know, as a consumer, not a board member, I wouldn't want a bond proposal that's so large that the 11 cent or 15 cent increase.
And that's what we
How the whole
looked at.
package performs.
The total amount was about 38 million, so no.
And that's what my concern was when I heard the committee's representative's first presentation, of kind of going way too big on this thing. And it sounds like if we've got a revenue stream that's already budgeted and accounting for possibly absorbing some of these things that you have dropped under the revenue notes, then you're doing an outstanding job. I mean, I think it's great. And a lot, you know, just to piggyback off of Scott's point, is as long as we adequately educate our consumer, I think they should, you know, have all the information necessary to make their decision on election day.
Yeah, and the committee had the same concern on Monday. It came up, and what we talked about was we don't want to be making payments on this stuff and repairing it also.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why we separated some of these projects. If it's going to last 20 years, then let's finance it for 20 years. But if it's not, let's figure out how to finance it differently, just to avoid that.
Yeah, I mean, that stinks. That's like me buying a brand new car for Christmas last year. You know, now I'm upside down on it, and the last thing you want to do is go roll that upside down in your next note. You know, you get into this debt snowball that you can't get out from under. So I think that's really a good job of forward thinking there.
Thank you.
Is that report? That concludes. Thank you. Moving along to item 7, consider and discuss for possible approval the purchase of a mini excavator for the construction department.
Construction maintenance department is requesting a mini excavator. The equipment that they have right now, sometimes it doesn't let us maneuver on some parts of the plants when they need to do repairs. We went out for bids, and after reviewing all the specs, we are requesting, we're recommending the approval for the purchase of the mini excavator to Bobcat of the RGB for $44,406.20.
Is this the same size as the other small excavator?
Yes.
Sounds like we need it for when the electricians get to work next week.
Construction crews, right? The construction department?
I had, the only concern I had with it was the fact that we had bought a John Deere, and I was thinking, well, it would be nice to buy another John Deere, but they did not want to participate.
Bobcat's pretty good.
But I did a little review myself on it, and it's a adequate piece of equipment, and talked to some of the staff, and they're happy with it, and so I'm okay with it. So.
And it's budgeted for, right? I see,
Yeah.
I see it's under budget.
Yes.
I love that. All right,
Is that
I'll
a
move to
motion?
approve.
Is that a motion made by Mr. Avalos?
and I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Starkey. All those in favor? They are. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you kindly. Moving on with item 8, consider and discuss for possible approval the purchase of a vacuum excavator for the distribution department.
So we need to replace unit 38. It's down right now. We are recommending going with Carroll Country Chevrolet for the purchase of the new vacuum excavator.
That's right on budget, right?
Yes.
Questions, comments?
I'm good with this product as well. The only concern I had was having to do those major repairs, but we're getting a new item, so I'm hoping that we don't have to deal with that anytime soon, so I would move to approve.
Motion for approval by Mr. Avalos,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Starkey. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. None are opposed. Motion does carry. Thank you. Some nice new items. Moving along to item number 9, consider and discuss for possible approval the purchase of stainless steel material from Air Supply Piping for the Laguna Vista wastewater treatment plant.
We are replacing the current airline that we have on Laguna Vista sewer treatment plant. It's underground. This one will be stainless steel, and the house will be, the installation will be done in-house by a construction maintenance department.
Does that save us a little bit of money?
Yes.
Yeah, you might want to include that in your, in your packet next time.
Yes.
That's really helpful information. Also, I would like to see a little bit more information, like how much you're buying, you know, the quantity, the linear feet that we're buying. A little breakdown on it would be nice. I know this is an expensive product, but a little bit of information would be good.
Yeah, I will.
Under the item, yeah. But I do see that's $4,251 under budget, so
And we're gonna save money by installing it ourselves.
great job. Motion to approve.
Second?
Motion for approval made by Mr. Starkey, seconded by Mr. Avalos. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are, none are opposed. Thank you, motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on with item 10, consider and discuss for possible approval the cost of living adjustment to be added on an annual basis as awarded by the federal government's yearly COLA announcement every October for the subsequent year.
So this is an item that's been discussed more than once, but the board has never taken action on it. It was discussed at a workshop, and so in order to put it into effect, I need the board to go ahead and take action. So this was at the budget workshop held on August 28th. The board of directors asked for a cost of living adjustment that would mirror the federal published adjustment made to Social Security benefits in January each year. So we budgeted an approximate cost of living adjustment of 1.7%, and it was announced last month in October that the cost of living adjustment would be 1.6% beginning in January of 2020. So I'm asking the board if you will take action on that, and however you decide to do it, if it's something that you want to be every year automatic, or and also if you want it to be what month do you want it to take effect in annually?
I think we did this last year, right?
Last year, there was a cost of living adjustment made in December last year.
Okay. And what did we do then?
It went into effect in I think it went into effect in December.
What was the percentage at that time?
5%.
5% increase?
Remember, they hadn't had one for like 6 years.
Right.
It was a catch-up
That's right.
one.
Yeah, it was a catch-up one.
At that time, we said, let's do this. I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me.
I think we also remember-
You guys shouldn't have to guess on it and wonder what it's gonna be. I'm in favor of having, every December, just whatever the federal government's COLA is, have
Is that
it
a motion?
automatically done, so that we don't have to revisit this year after year. It just makes sense to me to do.
Is that a motion?
Well, I don't know, we'll discuss as a board first, and then
Yeah, I'm okay with it too.
I think I'm okay
I was
with
just
it.
trying to get some history on it from last year, because I thought we were gonna review this on a yearly basis, but if I'm hearing you
That's
correctly,
up
Mr.
to you.
Lalonde, you do not want to do this every year, you just want to do it automatically? Let staff do it?
I think it should be an automatic thing that, comes up, you notify the board, hey, this is the cost of
Okay.
living adjustment this year, pending crazy inflation of something that year
Yeah.
where the board actually has to sit down and, I think it should maybe come up for approval, but just, hey, this is the date, we're approving it again, this is what it was. You guys can figure out the best mechanism, but for me, it should be,
Well, it's published every year in October for the following year. It's what the government uses to.
is that when they publish?
Yes,
October?
it's governed by, it's what they determine Social Security increases
yeah.
and other subsidized adjustments.
All right, so I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that COLA will be increased as represented in the national, is that what you call this, or federal? federal, which is disclosed in the month of October, automatically with the contingency of if this percentage is ever greater than 2.5%, it must be brought to the board's attention for approval.
Motion made by Mr. Starkey,
I second.
seconded by Dr. Lalonde. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Are there any opposed? None, motion carries. Very good. Moving along to item 11, that takes us to adjournment at 6, sorry, is it 6 or 7?
7:15, no, we need to
At
change the clock.
6:15 PM. At 6:15 PM, we need to, council has advised us to revisit and clarify amendment, or excuse me, item number 11, consider and discuss for possible approval the cost of living adjustment to be added on an annual basis as ordered by the federal government's yearly COLA announcement every October for the subsequent year. We need to make sure that we have fully corrected and amended that. Mr. Starkey made a
So I'd like to make an amendment to my motion that was passed unanimously to immediately start the automatic adoption of the federal COLA percentage annually with the contingency that any year that exceeds 2.5%, it would be first brought and approved by the board of directors. But the amendment is that it would immediately go into effect.
And that motion was made by Mr. Starkey and seconded by Mr. Avalos. Is the board in favor? I'm sorry,
Aye.
excuse me. Motion was made by Mr. Starkey and then seconded by Dr. Lalonde. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. Are there any opposed? None. The motion carries. The meeting is adjourned at 6:18 PM.